I'm back with another haul today, and it is predominantly BL, a mix of manhwa, danmei, manga, and manhwa. But I have a couple of non-BL items that I'll share at the beginning, and then I'll get into the BL, and as usual, I'll have timestamps below, and I'm going to get right into it. So to start, I have a couple extras from Yona of the Dawn, and these were from releases in Japan. This is an art book that released with the volume 47, I believe. And I went ahead and picked it up. I wasn't sure like what art was going to be in it, but I figured because they just released an art book recently that the art would be different from what's in the larger art book. But I'm just happy to have it. And I think some of these are newer illustrations from like the last couple volumes, the covers, and then just some of the art from the more recent magazine releases. And then the Memorial fan book, this released with one of the magazine issues. And I almost didn't pick it up because it is not as much art inside, like it has panels, but it is more like Q&A and interviews, and it's pretty thin, but I love the cover so much, so I had to get it. I actually watched some flip throughs of the art book, and I was thinking if this was an illustration in this art book, I wouldn't get this, but it wasn't. So yeah, I'm trying to be more of a completionist with Yona of the extras, just because now the series is concluded, the main story's over, and I think the extras are still releasing. But I want to have all the extras since there isn't going to be as much new art coming out with the series ending. And if I wait, then it could be harder to find these things. So pick these two up. And then with that Japan order, I got a few more extras from Love of Kill. And my last couple hauls where I've gotten my Japan proxy orders, I've been just picking up a little bit of Love of Kill here and there. And this time too, I was able to find these 3 bonus papers that released with volume releases as retailer exclusives. So this one was with volume 11. This one was volume 12. If I translate them, I'm sure they say like, thank you for buying this at whatever retailer. I am not sure which volume this one released with, but I love all these little extra drawings, and they aren't included in the manga anywhere or in the art books. So I'm trying to go back through and collect all the ones that I missed out on. And then I picked up a few trading cards. I just wanted to share this one because I was excited to get a hold of one of the Chinese One Piece card game anniversary cards that featured Sanji. So it came in this like little fancy envelope. But it's been a few weeks since I got the trading cards in the mail, so I've already put them away in my binder. So I'll just put up on the screen. These are the ones that we got. All of the Hancock ones are for my husband's collection, and then all of the Sanji ones are for me, and then as well as the one Reiju, and then a couple of them were like straw hat cards where there are multiple characters on the card. But of course Sanji is on those cards as well, so I had to pick those up. Okay, now getting into my books. First, I have volumes 1 and 2 of Day Off, and these are the season 2 volumes. So season 1 was only 1 volume, and then season 2 is 2 volumes. So I got this recently from Aloha Comics, and I actually just read these this evening and really enjoyed them. So season 1 followed this guy's younger brother and his relationship. They both are working for the same company. So the season 1 volume followed their relationship, workplace romance, age gap. And then this one actually is an age gap as well. The company vice president and an intern. He's not in season 1, but he is in season 1, and you meet his son in season 1 as well. So he's a single father. But this read was just really domestic and just felt really gentle reading it, really sweet and wholesome. But I'll just do a little flip through to kind of show the art style. I love the art style, but also just like the color palette as the series goes. It's just like really calming, really easy to read. The main character's son is so cute. But I'm kind of sad now that I've read these 2 volumes. I'm not sure when we're going to get more content for this series. I don't think there's been a season 3 yet, but I know that the author has done a few like spin-off AUs and kind of like shorter little extras that they've released as like booklets, I think. So I'm really hoping that Aloha Comics is gonna get those in print for us as well, either as shorter booklets or maybe combining them and releasing another book. And then with these 2 books came a few extras. So I haven't set this acrylic standee up yet because it's kind of big and I'm not sure yet where I'm gonna put it on my shelves. But it's of this character, and I'm honestly a little disappointed that it's just him and it's not like a couple standee, or like I wish that there had been one of him as well if he was gonna get one so that they could go together. But it's really cute. And then this sticker sheet. And then a few little prints, and they feel really luxe. They're not like really thick. They're like not as firm as like cardstock, but they have a like texture on them and foil detail. So I just thought that was pretty cool. I guess there may be postcards, but very nice. Next is Here You Are, volume 4. And volume 4 came with this acrylic standee set. And it's 2 pieces, but then they have the same base. So it actually is bigger than I thought it was going to be. When I got it, I was surprised how big it is because all of my other standees that I have in my collection are smaller than this. Like I know this is not like this isn't like abnormally large, but I just don't have a lot of standees in my collection. But I was so excited to have this as an extra for the volume release because I love this cover so much. So this was exclusive art that we got from the artist for the English release. So this isn't a volume cover illustration that has been used in other language releases yet. So I thought that was so cool. He's so cute. And having like a full body one of them together. Also because all of the Here You Are covers so far have had him on the front and him on the back. So I'm happy to have them able to be together and I can put them on display. I already know where they're going to go on my shelf. I just haven't set up the standee yet. And then I also got this little keychain when I put my order in just because I really wanted his little drunk chibi as an acrylic. I wish it was double-sided, but it's not. But he's so cute. But I actually just read this one tonight as well, and I loved it. Volume 3 has a scene that makes me cry every time I've read that scene, and then Volume 4 has another scene that makes me really sad. So I'm really excited for the next volume because it has some developments that I'm really excited about. The first 3 volumes mainly follow the main couple, and then volume 4 we start to see 2 of the side couples, kind of the start of those relationships. So I love this series. It's a university. Don't be deceived by their outfits and their weapons. This is a university romance following an upperclassman and an underclassman, and it's one of my favorites. And then the last manhwa I have, and it was actually part of the same order. I had been impatiently waiting for all of these volumes to come because I pre-ordered them together. So one of them released, and then the next month, another one released, and then the next month, the last one's released. And I was so impatient to get my order, but I think I was trying to save on shipping. So I pre-ordered them together knowing that it wouldn't ship until the last item released. But I got volume 3 of Little Mushroom. And I did read this one right after I got it in the mail because I had just read volumes 1 and 2 right before this one arrived. And this book came with these extras. I think this is a sticker sheet. I love the art style for Little Mushroom. It is so pretty. Really looking forward to the novel release from Seven Seas because I haven't read the Danmei. But I was excited to, I was excited though to read the manhwa finally. It was only maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago that I read it. Because I didn't know anything, I'd heard so many people talk about how much they love this series, and I didn't know anything about it. So I wanted to just get into the manhwa so I could meet the characters and get a little bit of an introduction to the plot, so that then when I read the novels, I'll be able to kind of picture things better, like the characters, and then also just the setting, and have an idea of the plot as I'm reading the novel. But then I'm excited too because I know the novel is going to have a lot more detail in it. So I really love the art style. The art is so pretty. There are some spreads that just feel like it's an art book. But really looking forward to the novel release. We just got the volume 2, I would say cover reveal, but it's just the book design reveal because it's a hardcover release. So Seven Seas just posted, I think today, the cover illustration on the desk jacket, and then what the book, on the actual book, what the design is going to be and the color of it, and then the sprayed edges. So looking forward to that. And then I have books from 2 Danmei series in this haul. First, I have Kaleidoscope of Death. So I'm late to this series. Volumes 1 and 2 released separately in the past. I don't know how long they've been out. And then volumes 3 and 4 were released as a bundle. And I'm hoping that volumes 5 and 6, it's going to be 6 volumes. I'm hoping volumes 5 and 6 will release as a bundle too, so that once I read these and I'm caught up on the series, then when the last books ship, then I'll be able to just finish off the series without having to wait. So last year when I started getting into Danmei, I started with Modern Danmei, and I read a few other Infinite Flow series. This one was on my radar, but I kind of didn't want to read it because I thought the covers were really creepy. And I thought it would be too scary for me. But my husband recently got into this series and read all these volumes to catch up and was so hooked. So now I'm planning to read them. I'm planning to read these 4 volumes next month, and then he'll have someone to talk to about it. So all 4 of these volumes came with extras, and I did make a YouTube short that showed those extras and just unwrapping these from the packaging and putting the extras in my merch binder. So I'm not going to show those in the video. You can go check out that YouTube short if you want to see. But I love that each book has like different style of art on the dust jacket and the cover. And I don't know anything about this series other than it is an Infinite Flow series, and I've been told it's not scary, but it's just has parts that are creepy. So we'll see when I read it. I'm flipping these around so I can show at the end how the spines look. But yeah, when I first saw these covers, I was like, this is so creepy. But I've only heard good things about this series. Like, I have several friends that have been following its release, and they really love it. And then now my husband has read it and has been dying for me to start it because he wants to talk about all the stuff that happened in it and the characters. And so I'm gonna read it soon. But one of the other things I kind of didn't like about the design is the spines. I just thought they were kind of boring. But I really actually like the book spines, not the dust jackets. So I'm probably going to have them on my shelves like this just because they're more colorful and vibrant this way. But I'm pretty confident I will like it because my husband, when he was reading, just kept laughing. Like, he said there's a lot of good humor in it. So I'm excited to read it. And then I can join everyone in waiting for the last 2 volumes. Kaleidoscope of Death. And then the other series is Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, volumes 3 and 4 of the hardcover editions. And I actually have been reading this series this month, and I just finished volume 4 yesterday, and I actually also read into volume 5 and finished the main story, so all I have left is extras to read now. I have volume 5 pre-ordered for the hardcover release. It releases like next week. And I've already seen people on Instagram have gotten their copies, so I'm so jealous. I don't know how long it's going to take to get my copy from my pre-order from Barnes & Noble. And sometimes I will get my pre-order like within 3 or 4 days of release. And then sometimes it takes 3 weeks to get to me. It just depends on where it ships through. So hoping it will be speedy. But I had so much fun binging this series this month. I really, really enjoyed the story, really liked both of the main characters. I haven't read the extras yet, but I'm really satisfied with the ending too. It's like 3 chapters into volume 5 is the end of the main story. And then like, I think that was like 45% of the book. And then the rest of the book is extras. So I'm really looking forward to those extras, and I'm not sure what to expect. If it's going to be more content following the main characters and their life following the end of the main story, or if it's going to give us a glimpse of some of the side characters. So I'll find out once I get my hardcover in the mail. I absolutely love the cover illustrations for every volume in this series. I especially love this one because it's just so like eerie, and he looks so fierce, and just matching with the content in this volume. It's such a nice depiction of when he started following the path of demonic cultivation. And then volume 4, I know that there was like controversy over this illustration, and leading up to it, I kept thinking like, oh, is it like a love triangle? And they were mad that like 3 people were on the cover rather than the 2 main characters. And I was convinced that's what it was going to be about. But these are 2 side characters, and this is one of the main characters. And I guess there's a group of fans that hate this guy and threw a huge fit over him being on the cover. So I don't really get it because like he is relevant, like he's a major part of this volume. So this is a very fitting illustration for the content in this volume. And just the depiction of these two characters, well, all three of them, is really meaningful for their emotions and the events of this volume. So I just don't really get it. And this is coming from someone who loves the main ship, so I don't know. But I love all 5 of the covers, but I think Volume 5 might be my favorite cover just because I really love Lan Wangji. And those are the 2 covers he's on, 1 and 5. But then I really appreciate all the other covers too. This one is just stunning. But then also Volume 2, it has 3 characters that are all side characters from kind of a backstory arc. But it's such a beautiful and, like, again, meaningful cover. So anyways, I'm not going to flip through these and show like all the features, or not features, but all of the like details. I did do several YouTube shorts as I was doing my read through this month. So feel free to check those out, where I go through and like show all of the little details with the design and like flip through and show how I tab whenever I read hardcover editions that have sprayed edges. I tab a little differently because I don't want the tabs sticking out and disturbing the illustration. So I will have one more haul video when I get my Volume 5 that I get to gush about this series, but I've really enjoyed this read through. And this is the final of the 3 MXTX series that I've been reading. I wanted to read through all 3 of this series this spring, so I'm really happy to be just about done with this one once I finish Volume 5 when I get my hardcover in the mail. Before I get into the BL manga and manhwa that I've gotten in the mail recently, I have one Western BL series that I got the first book of. So the series is Empire of Sins. This is book 1, Violent Devotion, and I believe the author is based in Europe. This is the special edition with this cover illustration. The regular edition, I guess, is the same book, but it just has a different cover and spine. But I'm so excited for book 2 already. I got this in the mail and I read it immediately. I devoured it in one night and loved it. It's a dark romance series that follows a veterinarian and a Russian mafia enforcer. And the series is actually following different members of his family. His dad is the head of this mafia group, and him and his brothers are all having a role in the group, but I really, really liked him. And as the series goes, it's not every other chapter flipping between them. Like sometimes it'll be his point of view, then his, then 3 chapters in a row of his, and then back to his. So we get to see both of their point of views, and I just really love character types like his, that they're just like really rough, but then will be soft for one person, the one person that they care about, which is him in this case. There are a lot of trigger warnings for this series because of the gang violence, and it is very spicy, but I really, really loved it. And I was so hooked, and like I read it in one night, but I like read it in one sitting because I just like sat down and started it and just did not want to walk away from it. But if you want to see the official blurb, it's right here. And it is pretty accessible too. I got mine from Amazon. And then there's, like I said, the special edition, regular edition, and then there's also an ebook. So even though the author is not in the same country as I am, it's still really easy and accessible to get this one. And I believe that this series is going to be 3 books with potentially some extras or novellas following the book 3. And I cannot wait. The characters that book 2 is going to follow are introduced in book 1. So I am already invested in them and their story. So really looking forward to it. Okay, so a few manga volumes. First, Our Dining Table, Seconds Please, Volume 2. I just got this in the mail today and I'm so excited to read it. I really loved the one-shot, Our Dining Table, and when I found out that the one-shot was going to have a sequel, I was so excited because I really love these guys. And I'm happy that the sequel is longer running. So the first book was just a one-shot, and then the sequel so far, 1 and 2. And then it says ongoing on Manga Updates. So planning to read this one soon. I'm so excited. So curious, like, what all is gonna be like, because the first one was a lot about food and just kind of getting to know each other and kind of healing over meals. And then I'm kind of blanking now from the volume 1 of the spin-off. I think it was like more about their relationship. So I'm excited that we're getting more of that while still getting the foodie elements of it. Next, I got this anthology. It's called Pet Contract, and it's by the mangaka that did Coyote and Birds of Shangri-La. And honestly, a lot of the stories in this anthology are problematic and non-consensual, but I really like this one story. It's only one chapter, and then there's like a half chapter at the end, so then all the other chapters in this are unrelated. But I wanted to have this in my collection. Just, it's kind of like a guilty pleasure, and also just their art style is so gorgeous. There's another anthology. I forget what it's called. I'll put it up on the screen, but they have another anthology with a collection of like short stories, and I was thinking about picking it up, but then I kind of forgot to put my order in before I had to consolidate this order, so I'm probably going to pick that up with my next Japan order. But the plot for this one is basically that this guy needs money to pay for, I think, his brother's like medical procedures, and he basically sells himself as a pet for the agency that these guys work for in order to get those funds. And then there's a little twist at the end, so happy to have this one now. When I first found it, I thought it was going to be like a zine, just like a really skinny, like kind of like a doujinshi, but then because it was an anthology, it's printed as a book, so I have it now. And then the last one is not a manga, but it's for a manga. So for the series Given, I got the next 2 art books that were released. So I did already have the first art book, Given Illustrations, and then this was Given Illustrations 2. And then I had picked up Monochrome, and then now Monochrome Side 2. I'll put a link to the haul video where I got these if you want to see like a little flip through of these ones. But I'm so happy that we got 2 more art books because I absolutely love the art style of this series, and just with recent events too and new art being released that I like haven't been able to get a hold of, now I have them in the art book. So and then multiple fold-out posters. This is just the first one. Aki and Haruki are my favorites. It's kind of hard to just like flip through because of the, I love this illustration, or this cover. And then I have this as a big poster on top of my shelf. I'm so excited for Tenth Mix. I'm so happy that Sublime is going to be printing that for us. I wasn't sure if they would. I had wanted these, but I didn't find out about like the exhibition until it had already ended, and I was trying to find them secondhand, and sometimes I just have trouble finding things. So I'm really happy that some of these newer bits of art that I have them now in this art book. Sorry, I'm doing this kind of clumsily, but I'm just trying to show the foldouts. But I'm really excited for 10th mix. And then I'm really curious how many DJuns we're gonna get. I'm blanking right now. I forget what it's called. I'll put up on the screen. This released in Japanese, and I'm curious if it's gonna get translated or if the mangaka is gonna release like a few of them, and then Seven Seas might print it in English. But I didn't pick that one up because I'm like waiting to see if it will get a release in English. But if Aki and Haruki get a spicy extra, I'm gonna pick it right up. So colorful. And then this is an obi, so it does have a full colorful design. It's just covered up a little bit. And then the monochrome. This is the same kind of design as the first one, where it's like almost like an obi, like the first part of the cover. Wraps around the book. Love this. And then this one is a bit thinner. So the other one too, the first monochrome, is thinner than the regular art book, but now I've got all 4 of them. And then before I get into my manhwa volumes, I have one merch item from Red Thread Quest, and it was actually a trade I did with someone from, there were 4 different types for this item that released. It was like a 4-cut print that each of the 4 illustrations had a separate PC that you could pull when you got it. And so I got a different one of the 4, and I wanted this one, and someone had this one and needed the one that I had, so I did a little trade, and they're so cute. Impatiently waiting for this series to get a print release, but season 2 just recently ended. I loved the ending of season 2. I was so glad it ended on a positive note because of just like dreading the tragedy that was going to happen throughout, but really excited for season 3 to start because it's going to be so fun. First, I have Kingsmaker Volume 1, and I do actually already have Volume 2, but big thank you to Inklore for sending me Volume 1. I was sent Volume 2 as a review copy, but I hadn't read Volume 1 yet, so I actually read Volume 1, the content online, from the digital release before starting Volume 2, and then after Volume 2, I went back to the digital release and finished the content that will be in Volume 3, because I had to know what would happen because of the way Volume 2 ended. But now with this Volume 1, I have both Volumes 1 and 2, and then Volume 3 will be releasing soon. I'll put up on the screen the release date for Volume 3, but looking forward to it. I feel like the cover for volume 3 like is very fitting, but I'm kind of frustrated that the king gets a cover when he's so just despicable. But Kingsmaker, this one is going to be 3 volumes total, and then I'm hoping that Inklore is going to be continuing the release with the sequel series, Kingsmaker Triple Crown. But this is just such a nice looking release with the gold foil. And then I love to, now that I've read Kingsmaker, and then I've also gone ahead and read Triple Crown since reading it, but just flipping back through the beginning, them as little kids, because by volume 3 they're a bit older, and then in Triple Crown they're adults. So happy to have this one now, and 1 volume to go for the prequel part of the story. Next is Wet Sand, Volume 3. Thank you again to Inklore for sending me this review copy. I really like TJ. I was trying to say like what I really like, because it's not particularly this volume that I really like, because as far as content so far for volumes 1 to 3, I think volume 2 is my favorite so far for the content, but then I love this cover of TJ, and then additionally this fold out poster. Oh, so the volume 1 cover is Ian, and then the fold out poster is of him, and the volume 2 is Joe, and then the fold out poster is Joe. So with volume 3 being TJ, I'm really eager to see what the next volumes are going to be, because I think volume 4 is a cover with Ian and Joe on it. So I'm curious what the poster is going to be. And then I think volume 5 is of TJ, like of his back, I think, like his tattoos on his back. So we'll be really looking forward to just seeing those volumes release and just the detail that they'll have. But this is the latest release. I kind of calculated, now that the series has ended, I think like 100 chapters, or it might have been 101, maybe with the epilogue. But through episode 38 is 3 volumes. So I'm curious if this series is going to be 8 volumes total. I think the Korean print release is still ongoing, so I'm not sure. But I really enjoyed, when I got this volume, I did a reread of 1 through 3. I had been following the digital release, so this was actually my first time rereading it. And I couldn't believe how much I had forgotten from the beginning of the series, of like what's revealed about the relationships, and even like Ian and TJ's backstory, because like there's a backstory segment later in this series that I found really meaningful. But even in like the first 2 volumes, just giving a lot of context around their past together, as well as the basis for all of the like group drama, like the gang politics, because this is a gangster series, and 2 of the main characters are gangsters, and then another guy, the guy that's on the volume 2 cover, is not a gangster. It is very much a love triangle through the whole story, and in addition to the relationships between the characters and the romance and the feelings that they all have, intermingled through that is bits of backstory about like how things relate to the ties the gangsters have to their group, and the current drama within the group and conflict that is kind of driving TJ's decision making. So really excited to get the next volumes so that I can continue my reread. Next is volume 5 of Loverboy, and this is the finale volume. So when I got this one, I actually hadn't been reading the series with the release, so I had read the digital release, and then once this series was licensed for print release, I read volume 1 when it released and volume 2 when it released. And then because of the angst in volumes 3 and 4, I kind of didn't want to just read them as they released, because then I'd have to wait. So once I got volume 5, I reread volume 2 and then 3, 4, and 5. And now it's completed. So I have this series complete in my collection now, and then this series has a spin-off that follows Jaeha's former friends with benefits, his relationship with someone else following the events of Loverboy. So that one's called Sparkling Baby. Some of my friends who also like this series, they like Sparkling Baby even more. And I really like the new character, his new relationship. I like that character quite a lot, but I think that I might just prefer Loverboy a bit more just because of the angst, and I just really like Jaeha, so this one is complete now. And I think I forgot to mention, so these two, they have an age gap between them. I think it's like 9 years or something. He was little when they were neighbors. He was like a teenager, and he was younger, but they were neighbors and they were really close. And then he abruptly moves away and they don't see each other for quite a while until he is in his early 20s. Actually, they re-encounter when he gets married. So then he gets married and then they're apart again, and then they re-encounter again when he's in his early 20s. And I think he's already completed his military service. But then most of the story is the younger guy pursuing his first love while he is just feeling like a broken man after getting divorced and kind of falling back into bed with a partner that he had before his marriage. But very messy, a lot of angst, but a lot of sweetness too, and a lot of spice as well. And then the last volume of my haul is volume 3 of Roses and Champagne, and I just got this one this week as well, and I read it tonight as well. I've been so just fixated on my read-through of MDZS, and since I finished I finished the main story last night, so today I've just been like blitzing through some of my manhwa and manhua TBR that I've gotten recently, so I was really excited to just go through and read a bunch that have been just like sitting in a pile next to me while I'm reading my novel, just like looking at me like, read me. So I read this one today and I enjoyed it. I have read this series, the digital release, and I really like the main characters. Caesar is a black flag. If you haven't followed the digital release, you'll find out even more so in volume 4. But I love his complexity as it relates to like his past and his upbringing, and really, really hope that we're going to get all the side stories, because I think volume 4 is the end of the main story. But then there is another 4 volumes worth of side stories. So I really hope, I know other language releases have released all of the volumes. Now that I've said that, I'm kind of doubting myself. It's either 4 volumes of side stories or 3 volumes. I'll have to check maybe the German release or the Korean release and see, but 3 or 4 more volumes past the main story of additional content that just continues. Like when the main story ends, it just continues. So I don't know if like the main story release, like they had a contract of it only being a certain length, and then they met that contract and had to make another contract to continue it or something, and that's why it's split that way. I don't know how it works, but I'm just really happy that we got this print release in English, because it is a series that I like and characters that I like. But I'm feeling hopeful because Seven Seas did recently, well, it's upcoming, it hasn't released yet, but Dangerous Convenience Store ended with volume 6, but then Seven Seas is printing volume 7, which contains the side stories. So I'm hoping that that will be the case for Roses and Champagne as well. But this one is a mafia ex-lawyer. So he's the lawyer. He is half Russian, half Korean, and the story's set in Russia. He travels to Russia after his mom dies in Korea, and he's on a mission to find his father, who is in Russia, to deliver his mother's final words so that he can feel that closure in doing that for his mother. But then while he's attempting to do that, he crosses paths with Caesar, who is a mafia boss. Well, technically his dad is a mafia boss, and he is the next to take over after his dad, but Caesar becomes obsessed with this lawyer, and from there is the story. So Roses and Champagne, I've been really excited with each release, reading as each volume releases, so looking forward to volume 4 already. And I'm gonna just keep checking and like refreshing on the retailer sites to see if like a volume 5 pops up. Then I'll know that we're safe and we're getting the side stories, so we'll see. This is everything from my haul. Predominantly BL, but a lot of titles that I've been looking forward to, collecting some ongoing series as well as some new titles to my collection. So eager to get into some of these new books in the coming weeks. Hope you enjoyed going through everything with me, and I'll see you again soon in another video. Thanks for watching.